TaxAct can think of a million things more fun than filing taxes. TaxAct is going to name some now. Sitting in traffic. Folding a fitted bedsheet. Listening to your coworker talk about his fantasy team. Digging a hole. Digging an even larger hole next to that original hole. Unfortunately, TaxAct's filing software can't make taxes fun. But TaxAct can help you get them done. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi! Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And we are back. In a moment, we will continue, a couple of minutes actually, with your telephone calls. We're going to go to Shannon in Belmore, New York, line 5, in about 8 minutes. But I want you, because I'm very interested in what the heroes on the front line have to say. Law enforcement each and every day. So I got the opportunity in Nutley, New Jersey, to sit down with a wonderful businessman. His name is John Mancini. He runs the Oxygen Bar there and a print shop. But I wanted to talk to him, met his wife, met his daughter, wonderful people. He's retired law enforcement from the West Orange, New Jersey Police Department. And so we talked Trump. We even talked about the fact that he started the K-9 unit in West Orange, the police department in New Jersey. But what I was specifically zeroing in on is the way law enforcement is treated around the country, but in particular, the NYPD. And so John Mancini, immediately, the moment I said that, he went to the snow throwing incident against the police. And we all know that there was 2 arrests made. How many little animals were out there throwing snowballs at the police? At least 50. And you've come up with 2 arrests, and you won't charge them with assault, disorderly conduct, and something the disrupting governmental operations. But anyway, John Mancini, again, retired law enforcement, says it breaks his heart and the hearts of other law enforcement officers the way that the NYPD is being treated in this climate under Mayor Mamdani.
It actually rips my gut out. If that isn't bad enough to have a mayor say it was just a snowball fight.
With kids.
With kids. A fight constitutes, it goes both ways. Can you imagine if the cops ever threw a snowball back, what would happen?
It would be live at 5, 24-hour live trucks outside the police station. It would be CCRB in New York demanding the officer's head. It would be $1 million lawsuit. It would be racism. It would go on and on and on.
So to have a mayor that, and this isn't the first time that he's taken the side of the criminal. The stabbing was another incident. So to sit there and say, it was just a snowball fight, and he saw the video, I'm not really sure what video he saw, because what I saw was a blatant attack on our officers. Right now, they're sucking the life out of the job. The cops that want to work are going to be forced not to work because your back's not going to be covered. You're going to be put in a situation, and even if you're right, you're wrong. So why would you lose your job on something like that? Nobody's going to be proactive anymore. 100%. They're just going to wait and get sent. It's not. It's the guys are just getting beaten. They're just getting beaten down, and that's the last thing you want. And the mayor just is not standing behind anybody. Look at how he's running the whole thing. New York is I don't think it's going to survive 3 years of him. I really don't think it'll survive.
President Trump has this is my opinion. I want your opinion. Has an opportunity to go down in history as the greatest president ever. How do you see the job he's doing?
Absolutely 100%. Now, can you just imagine the job he would do as if they would let him do his job? I mean, the Democrats have done nothing but fight him the whole way. How do you not stand up to say Americans first? How? All the questions he asked just proves that they're not behind it, and to them it's basically a political ploy. They're not looking to better America. Name me one thing they've come up with that's made anything any better. The only thing they do is fight Trump.
I can tell you one. They're the party of criminals. The party of illegals.
Can you imagine fighting that hard for us? Wouldn't that be nice? Isn't that what we put them in office for, to represent us?
To pay their salaries for.
And now there's I forget where it is, that they voted on a triple increase, 3 times the salary increase. Meanwhile, there's no cost of living raises for officers and the retirements. So how do you look at yourself in the morning with that?
John Mancini, retired law enforcement, West Orange, New Jersey. How did we get to this point where police around the country are so disrespected? And I mean, and when in my day when I was growing up, you know, in my community, many of us didn't have fathers, but we had a respect of the police, and you knew there's a certain line you don't cross, because if you cross that line, Houston, we got a problem. How did we get to this point?
I really think it was when pretty much Obama was in and Biden doubled down on it, that you weren't allowed to say anything. You know, if you said anything that made common sense, you got called every name in a book. It's common sense. It's just common sense. There is no more common sense anymore. And it was a slow decay where everybody had to keep their mouth shut. And I think that just got to the point where it got abusive, and the job is not what it was. It's not what it was. You know what I mean? And it's not the officer's fault. It's not the officer's fault. They're in their trenches every day. They're caught between a rock and a hard place. You know, they're trying to do the right thing, and then they're getting beat down by the admin. So what do you want them to do? What's the answer for them to do? If you're going to tie their hands and they can't do their job, then you can't expect them to do their job.
Do you think we're going to continue to see the exodus of police officers leaving the NYPD, of police officers leaving large police departments across the country because of the horrible climate against officers?
Well, look at New York and look at Florida. Florida will give them a sign-on bonus and they'll back them. Why would you stay in New York? All these big cities that are sanctuary cities where you can't do anything, why would you stay there? In Florida, Texas, they're all honoring law enforcement, give you sign-on bonus, to take care of you, good equipment, back you up. So, yeah, I don't see why guys would stay. You
are the nicest, mildest guy one could meet. But yet you carry, you know, your I don't know if you call it an off-duty weapon because you're retired. So, I mean, but I just don't see you losing your cool under any situation.
It's funny. You have to kind of control your emotions, and the best thing to do instead of yelling and screaming is lower your voice. Because that actually intimidates a little more, but it stops the screaming and the excitement of it, and you just you got to take it down a notch.
Wow! So you started the K9 unit in West Orange. Was there ever a time? I'm just curious because those dogs, when they get worked up, they can get worked up. Was there ever so the dog becomes your partner? Because I've seen officers, K9 cry like a baby when their dogs are retired. Was there ever a time that you worried that the dog might bite you?
No, I was never, ever. Maybe accidental in the midst of something, but never was I worried about that. Never.
And so they would attack on your command, and they would stop on your command?
Yes.
So if you said stop biting, whatever term you used, I know you said use another language, but if you said stop, the dog would stop biting at that point?
Yes. Yeah, he'll release.
Just like that?
Yep.
And they would never bite any other officers? How would they know that they recognize the uniform?
The biggest problem you have is not the dog doing something wrong. It's actually an officer doing something wrong. If you hear me yell a command that I'm going to release the dog, then you just stand still. You know what I mean? We also trained, we had a TAC unit. We also trained with our guys. So they knew what to expect, you know. So it's usually the guy's fault. Like if I'm standing there with my dog, you can't come up to me, shake my hand. My dog was not that kind of dog. So you just, you know, hey John, how you doing? Whatever. And just sit back. It's usually an officer's fault, Not to blame an officer. It's just something that's interpreted by the dog differently than what it should have been.
And so what would happen if you have an undercover on location? What does the dog do?
Well, it depends on what the situation is. If there's 5 cops around and then one guy's running, well, he's going to go after the guy that's running. You also have to make sure the dog is focused on the target. You know what I mean? So that's it. If somebody's in a car, you know, and you want to extract out of a car, you bring him up close to the car, and then you release him 10, 15 feet out from there. So he knows, you have to focus the dog on the threat is what you have to do.
And they go on your command, period.
They're tough. They're tough. My dog was super hard. When I took him out of the car, everything stopped.
The bad guys open up a can of Act Right.
We had one guy was hiding in the woods, buried himself down. I bring the dog out, and he heard the dog barking, and he gave up before I even gave any commands. He said, I give up, and that was it. It stopped. A lot of times, you don't need the dog there. Its presence alone is enough to intimidate and stop the problem. And that's what you're looking for, officer safety. You don't want any officers hurt. You don't want your canine hurt, but you don't want any officers hurt. When that dog comes out, you could sit there and point a gun at me, and I'm 99% convinced you're not going to shoot me. But when I have a dog snarling, spitting, and biting, you're going to have a hard time dealing with him.
John Mancini, thank you very much. Thank you for all that you do for others. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.